Welcome to our program, Coach to Coach. Today's guest is Elaine Wright. Elaine is one of my peers from Jamie Smart's Clarity Coaching course. Elaine is a holistic therapist and transformation coach. She studied quantum physics, traditional Chinese medicine, neurogenesis, hypnosis, EFT, CBT, NLP, and in her own words, heaven knows what else. I've had the pleasure of doing peer coaching with Elaine recently, and our conversations are always deeply connected, deeply impactful, and enjoyable. Thank you for joining us today, Elaine. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So the way I like to start off this discussion is to ask what first sparked your interest in coaching?
Right. Weird question. You know, 15 years ago, I didn't even know what coaching was. I didn't even know it existed. And I think what really sparked my interest was for myself. I guess all those years ago, I myself was in a pretty dismal place, you know, generally speaking, life in general. And I guess the word that comes to mind, which has sort of formulated the whole of my work even from there, is the word stuck, you know, stuck, whatever that looks like to anybody. And I got the feeling after quite a while that kind of I could do with some help on this stuck sort of story. And, you know, I didn't know who to turn to. I had the thing I knew for sure, like there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong in my head. You know, I was like, it was okay. But like, well, the only person I could think that might, or figure that might have been able to help me would have been a psychotherapist or something like that, you know, but kind of this other little voice was saying, well, hey, yeah, man, there's nothing wrong with you, you know, nothing wrong at all. But however, the feeling that was accompanying that was like pretty dismal, you know. Again, I don't know, you know, technical words, like I don't know if I was depressed, maybe, who knows, I don't know. But I needed help anyway. So I kind of, you know, plucked up the courage, which is always a good start. And I went to speak to somebody. And, you know, we met up for 2 or 3 sessions here or there. And you know, what came out basically was that I was really dissatisfied in every single area in my working life. This was the crux of the matter. And looking at it, you know, now in retrospect, with a huge knock-on effect in the rest of my life. I mean, no doubt about it. The relationship I was having with my daughter, the relationship I was having with everybody, basically, colleagues, friends, you know, were suffering, let's say. And for sure, my health as well. So anyway, you know, 2 or 3 sessions and 4 sessions and 5 sessions, and the only thing I really noticed, like I didn't seem to be getting anywhere further to, you know, what my future would hold. But the one thing I did notice is that like each day didn't really seem as bad as it seemed to have seemed, if you like. And then I think 6th or 7th session or something, the guy sort of just popped in a question. And he said, well, you know, we've seen a lot and looked at a lot and this, that and the other. And he said, what is it that you'd really like to do? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I still don't know what and then I thought, well, of course I know what to do. And I said to him, do you know what it is I'd like to do? I'd like to do something that you're doing. Because I'd like to be able to help people like you're helping me. And then, of course, I sort of thought, yeah, you know, my age, no way I'm going to university. I'm not going to do psychotherapy. It's going to take too long. And so I thought, well, and I said to him, you know, this is a bit of a problem. Like, I'd really like to do this. I'd really like to be able to help people like you're helping me. And being a man of great experience, he said, well, you know, have you had a look into coaching? And I said, well, what's that? And he said, well, the thing I do know about coaching, he said, is that I do actually use now what I now know to be, you know, despite my long studies in CBT, psychotherapy, and all sorts of various takes on, you know, psychological studies, let's say. He said, you know, what I found to be very helpful in my work is the stuff I'm recently reading, let's say 15 years ago, and it arrived a bit later. I live in Italy. In Italy, and it's not particularly well known here, even today. And he said, but you know, the guy speaks English. You know, I've seen this stuff and I've seen these people in action, and I found it very, very useful, and I've done a bit myself. And I'm finding that it's perhaps one of the better things that works actually in my therapy sessions. And he said, you know, but you can start off doing this stuff without any particular qualification. I thought, oh, well, I like that. And that's where it started from. You know, it started from there. And it started, I guess, the spark started also from, at the time I was a shiatsu practitioner. And I had a very clear idea on how, you know, to get amazing results with people, I didn't actually have to say very much. You may or may not know, shiatsu is a hands-on, you know, technique. It's not massage. It's not finger pressure. It's well, I won't go into that, but but basically, you know, apart from a few words and a little bit of understanding that happens as maybe a new client might walk into my room, but what I realized was that the people who I had success with and had got success for themselves, you know, be the original problem, be it either physical or mental or psychological, let's say, that it certainly wasn't the words that I said. And what it was, I realized, was the connection that we made that allowed healing to be possible. Now, I kind of understood how that worked. Like, after all, I was qualified to do that. So, you know. But the other thing I realized was that, well, I know how it works, but how come it's working for other people and they don't know how it works? And that got me really curious. Again, looking at myself, because I am that person who, you know, I need like kind of some sort of explanation on all of this, you know, and then I need to know. And you know, as we both know, Greg, it's not about your intellect. So I kind of thought, with this and with the fact that I was struggling anyway with my job for whatever reason, and I found out later that it wasn't my job that was making me stuck, obviously. So kind of that was another thing I knocked on the head pretty quickly. But I did realize that I wanted to change and move into something else, which, again, through the help I got from a psychologist, became coaching. And I got very, very curious to find out more. And I needed something that would just point me into the direction that wasn't words, it wasn't even touch. It was in the connection, but I needed an understanding about how that really worked. I needed to see that before I was able to do it. So yeah, I guess it started from there. So I guess the idea of needing connection and the idea of curiosity. It was curiosity was the spark.
Yeah, love that.
So, you know, lots of words to actually say the spark was the curiosity, and I already had that in me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your business and how you're working and who you're helping.
Yeah. yeah, I guess my business, it's about helping people understand where their experience comes from. I guess that's the shortest way. That's the shortest version. What I mean by experience, I mean just that, their everyday experience of life, of work, of their relationships, of their experience with each other, with one another, with their partner, with their kids, with, whatever looks like something you're doing kind of on a day-to-day basis, really. Obviously, as you can imagine, I intend by that when that experience for some reason is not working for the particular person. And sort of more in particular, those people, I work with those people who, very much like me, feeling stuck, they're feeling maybe fearful. Let's just look at COVID, a couple of years ago, fearful of what the future may hold. I get a lot of people who, again, like me, kind of had the feeling that there was something better out there, but didn't quite know what it was. So these are kind of people, they're stuck in their jobs, they don't know whether to make the big leap into shifting from a employment status to a freelance or business, making it on their own or whatever. And then there's those people who perhaps more on a more kind of personal level, there's people who get the feeling that they're just always switched on alert, which you can imagine is, I guess, translates into stress. It translates into stress, and which, it doesn't take a great mind to know the knock-on effects that all of that can have. Again, just even, in your health, in your sleeping, in your maybe even your diet, who knows, or your little vice habits of drinking and smoking and all the rest of it. It all pans out in life experience one way or another. Or just those people who, for whatever reason, just want to feel more in control of what they're doing. Again, on a day-to-day basis, because I guess life is lived on a day-to-day basis, isn't it? Mm-hmm. For the moment, I'm working. I really enjoy working one-on-one. I am looking to move into doing a bit more group work, because I feel I can get my word out, to more people.
Sure. In
the same kind of time span, because time runs out, the end of thing. Working on that, but at the moment, I do medium-term periods, short-term periods, intensive periods, 1 year periods. It depends from person to person. It depends what they're looking to get,
right?
Really. But the most important thing is that I see, or actually that both of us see, that we can work together. It's a two-way thing. Mm-hmm. It's not me telling you what to do. It's not them even telling me what I should be doing. It's about seeing if we're both going to be fully committed into this thing, and that's that's where it starts working. That's for me. That. Yeah. And I guess my kind of aim at, having a business for me a few years away, it looked like a terribly formal kind of thing. But I like to kind of think that I run my business on a very informal basis, all being legally correct and everything, but I'm informally, I want people to feel at home. I want people to feel safe and happy and easygoing, which is sometimes also just that very fact is a beautiful premise, to start. I'm going to use the word healing, any healing process. you know, even if healing looks like just finding the job it is that you really want to do.
Yeah.
It's a very, very generalized term, healing. But yeah, so my business is kind of a home from home, you know, place that people come to, and we can just kind of sit and have a coffee and a chat about it.
Yeah.
You know,
I like the way you put that, because what came to mind for me is just when you can kind of remove that formal nature of things, like the formality of it, it has a lot of like, I don't know, like walls are up and the prim and proper way to do things versus a very casual and like you said, it feels like home, like it's comfortable. And that's when you get to the true nature of where you're in, when we're not trying to pretend to be something or to fit into a box of what somebody's perception of a formal business might be. Like I think it's a great way to guide people.
And I love that you say that as well, you know, fitting people in a box, because I honestly believe that the very origin of stuckness is because we spend far too much time trying to fit ourselves into one box or the other, where the box is either too big, too small, too tight, too narrow, too wide. It's not for us, you know. Thank you for that.
I like that.
So I guess, you know, sort of more technical word, it would be say, I you know, my aim in my work and business is it's getting them to see, you know, how to be in alignment with who they really are. That's, again, you know, one-liner, doesn't say much, but it says quite a lot.
Yeah, it says everything.
Yeah.
The simplicity of it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there an example of how your coaching has helped somebody, whether it's yourself or a client, like an insight that you could share with us?
Just off the top of my head, you know, among the clients, I guess, guy that's coming to mind, I've working in person here in Italy. Guy came to me, actually, interesting. He was a referral, which was even more interesting because it was a medical doctor that referred him to me. And this man was the medical doctor's patient, which I thought was very interesting. I'd worked with the medical doctor, obviously nothing to do with medicine, because I can guess he could look after himself for that. So I was very flattered, actually, by this referral. And we actually still do, you know, it's kind of an ongoing thing. We're not at work at the moment. We've just finished our kind of third meeting, actually, over a period of, I've known him now for about 4 years. And it's always been the same thing, although each time like at a you know, upper level. So the first kind of thing we worked through, he was stuck in his job, CEO of a big engineering company, and it wasn't working for him on any level, you know, on like an interpersonal, colleagues, or him with his boss, him with the whole organization, him with the project he was working on. The whole thing just wasn't working. And basically, as I said before, you know, because we didn't actually work on that. Like, he didn't come to me and say, hey, I need to sort out my job. You know, he came to me saying, like, thank God I know this medic guy, because he's really sorted me out, and this is what's happened. And I really need some help here, and I also need some help with my diet, which has nothing to do with me. And he sort of came to me hoping to, you know, somehow he felt that if his health was even better, can't explain this, he kind of thought that his job would get better, because he kind of thought that, seeing as his health wasn't so good, he didn't kind of have the energy to put into the job that he was already doing. But the problem actually wasn't that. The problem was somewhere else. So anyway, what he actually, we got to, stage one was he actually left the job. And stage two was getting another job of the same position in another engineering company. Stage three was, I don't really want to be here at all. This is just the wrong thing. So stage three was leaving the job again. Sounds a bit. Stage four was setting himself up in business. And stage five was sorting out the tangents. Wife and kids, his brother, so relationship stuff, his parents, long-standing relationship things that he didn't want. He wanted it to be good. So that was kind of stage six. And he kind of said to me, I don't really need to know, but we might be able to have a meal together with my family. That I think might be stage seven. I think we've, what the most beautiful thing that's come out of it. So we've actually established we are actually now friends. Yeah. Which is, as I just think, is just awesome. We're trusted friends. So
that's great. So you guided them through quite a journey there, sounds like.
Yeah. And and the journey that maybe as I've just kind of fed that back, it may look like, oh well, it didn't work first time round, did it? But you see that I guess I kind of feel that the beauty of it was, from the relationship that we developed, that he kind of saw for himself that I couldn't point him in any other direction at that moment in time. And it needed to go through these stages. It wasn't that he sort of kind of saw me, or he kind of realized that the understanding of working with me is not, hey man, I can't fix this for you at all. But we can certainly work our way through it and work through things as they come up and as you see them. And the more we work through these things, you'll be able to see them before they happen. And that's when the rubber hits the road kind of thing, and then you're flying. So yeah.
It's interesting the way you describe that, because in my own experience of my journey, it's kind of like, you look back and you kind of think like, well, why did I have to take that path? Or if only I could have avoided that section. But then I've come to the realization that like, no, it's there's no regrets, or there's no like that, I don't know, tangent or variation in the path. If you'd eliminated that, you wouldn't have got to where you are now. Like everything is as important as everything else kind of along the way. So it's, it's been an interesting realization for me to not so much like regret or question the path or the journey. It's just appreciate that you are where you are because of the journey that you had to go on. So, and it's all learning along the way.
Yeah. And that's it, moment to moment, day by day, week to week, it's all learning. And I guess coaching kind of speeds up that process.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was about to add, but that's kind of just a sequence of words, a little bit. It actually really speeds up the process, like a lot.
Yeah. Well, I like the notion, and I've heard a lot of coaches say this, that, when they meet a client, they say like, I have no doubt that you'll get to where you want to be on your own. Like you don't need me, but with a coach, we can get there a lot faster. It's
I love what you say, Greg, because it's kind of paradox, you don't need me, and you really don't.
No.
But like, we do some really good work.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you'd want people to know, what would that be?
There's lots of one things I want people to know. I must confess, Greg, and I guess everybody knows this as well. You gave me these questions beforehand, so I had a little thought about this. To kind of sum it up, I guess the thing I really would like people to know, and it's not about coaching as such, it's not about me, and it's not about, but what I'm seeing for all those people who just haven't got a clue what coaching is, or are kind of wondering and pondering, or have some kind of idea and it's like way off track, you know, and is that, you know, coaching is, or at least now what we're having the pleasure of learning on this CCT course, is that, you know, it's not, and really never has been, based on, you know, on lore and legend or magic, or even wishful thinking, or, you know, or techniques, or it's just willpower, or it's woo-woo. It's none of that. It's like, this is the thing, and I think it's kind of, you know, people can get leverage within us and a little bit of sense of calm, you know, when you are feeling lost and don't know much about which direction to take or who to go to get help from. Because the fact is that the coaching, at least the coaching that you and I are doing, Greg, is, as we know, based on the famous 3 principles brought into this world by a guy called Sid Banks. And I'd just like to put here, and I've written it down, so I'm going to read it off, okay? And I'm sure our coach and mentor will be proud of us, Greg. The Oxford Dictionary, so it's based, you know, we're based on, the work is based on Sydney Banks' 3 principles. I don't even know what word to add here, whether it's a theory or what the hell it is.
Understanding.
What understanding, thank you. But what I'm going to do is just define the word principle, so kind of people can get an idea of, you know, where both you and I are coming from. And apparently the Oxford Dictionary would define the word principle as, and I read, a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system or belief or behavior, or a chain of reasoning, or for a chain of reasoning. And these 3 principles, I know, have also been coined under the banner, or under the name of subtractive psychology. And from my experience up to date, you know, it appears that this is, you know, going to be a huge turnaround for most of the techniques and methods used in psychology and or other even different coaching techniques. It's going to turn them completely on their heads. And it looks to me that, you know, this is going to be the way forward for a happy, healthy, beautiful, peaceful world.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, if any of our listeners want to get in touch with you or have a chat or some coaching, how do they get a hold of you?
I'm guessing the best way to do is just drop me a line, and my mail is elainecoachwright@gmail.com, or hop into my site, which is elainecoaching.com, and go into the coffee and chat section and hop onto a call with me, and let's just have a chat.
Awesome. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Greg. It's been absolutely lovely. So kind of you. Thank you so much for having me here.
My pleasure. We'll see you again soon.
Bye, Greg.
Bye-bye.